I've got my hands on a new lens. It's the Hasselblad XCD 20-35E ultra wide zoom lens for Hasselblad's medium format camera system. And you'll never guess where I'm going to take it to test it out. Iceland. Yeah, so I'm quite excited to put it through its paces.
What's that?
Oh, it's a new lens from Hasselblad. It's pretty sweet.
What? They sent that to you?
Well, yeah, they just wanted to get my thoughts on how it performs.
Well, why didn't they send that to me?
Well, I guess because this is my channel and I do all the work. I'm the one risking my life to get epic shots like these.
Yeah, but I thought I was the popular one.
Well, I'm the one with the lens, so you better just get used to it.
Oh.
I'm sure they'll send you some other lens to review in the future, love.
Do you think so?
Yeah, sure.
Can I just try it out a bit, though?
Well, wait until I'm done with it.
Well, when will you be done with it?
I don't know. Depends on how good it is.
Oh, all right then.
Yeah, can you shut the door? Right, let's get this bad boy tested out. So off we went to Iceland. Now the 3 locations that you'll see in this video are just a little preview of some much longer videos that you'll see over the next couple of months. So be sure to subscribe and tickle that bell so you don't miss the full episodes. So I was just driving down the highway and this mountain range just erupted with colour and contrast. Absolutely magnificent. So I anchored on the brakes, came down to the beach and just found a reflection, and I think I like this shot. I've gone for a pretty obvious composition, just centralised, and it's all about that lovely reflected colour and contrast that you can see up there. Very, very simple, very, very obvious, but I think it might work. So yeah, if this shot turns out to be any good, here's a shot. An ultra wide zoom that's capable of 20mm on medium format was just about ideal when getting this close to a large mountain. But it was only 3 AM and we had the rest of the day to see what else this lens could do. Perhaps a noisy waterfall? Oh look, some geothermal action there. Anyway, waterfalls. Brúarfoss, one of Iceland's smallest, but in my opinion most beautiful waterfalls, just begging for some wide-angle lens action, perhaps at 20mm. I'll be honest with you, like much of this Iceland trip, I did not expect to be this enamoured with this location. You see the pictures and you think, oh, that's nice, a nice colourful waterfall, and then you get here in person and it's just absolutely spectacular. And I'm really taken by that beautiful blue colour in the water, and I also love all of the moss and lichen that you can see, all that green splash of colour that's just barely clinging to all the rocks there. And as you can see, we've got a lovely grey foggy background, which to me makes the colours really pop. I don't think I would want to shoot this on a bright sunny day. I think the colours would struggle to compete with all the bright contrast. So I framed up a pretty simple composition that basically takes in this little cascade here, and then of course this lovely beautiful blue colour and these falls here. But I'll show you the back of the camera and try and explain a little bit better. I've got to watch my step because this is a sketchy spot. So I'll just brighten this up so you can see what's going on in the foreground there. So I've really kind of used this little cascade here. I wouldn't say it as a leading line, but the cascade and then the rocks are something of a framing element.
And so what I love is that that is coming into, you know, the action is flowing into the center of the frame and then out. And then in the top of the frame, you've got a multitude of waterfalls cascading into the center to create that beautiful blue pool. And of course, the sky, I've just composed a sliver of sky because it's just a sort of grey, misty background. The shot really is all about this. So I'm quite happy with that, but if this turns out to be any good, here's the shot.
Adjust this composition. If you want to see the full episode of this shoot, because remember, this is just a taster, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any future Iceland episodes. So the lens did great in this relatively comfortable environment, but you know me, I like to torture my equipment, so I took it somewhere a bit more hostile.
I don't know if you can see that, but we've arrived at probably the most famous beach in all of Iceland, Vestrahorn. Now, if you don't know about this one, I think this one's on private land, so you've got to pay to get in. You've got to pay for access to get in. And so far, I'd say it was worth the asking price.
The wind was so high and the sand blowing so hard, I was having second thoughts about getting out the camera.
Having seen about 10 million pictures of Vestrahorn over the years, I think the shots that engage me the most tend to be the ones that show these lovely sand dunes with these grasses growing out of them.
So I decided to just man up and expose the camera with the brand new lens to flying sand. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
All right, after a couple of hours of pretty hard work, just working this scene, trying to find where all the comps are, I think I've decided that my favourite element out of everything that you see here is the dunes. I mean, just look at that black sand and the way that the sun is creating that relief on those ripples. Absolutely gorgeous. So what I'm doing, you know, the mountain is a given, the grasses are a given, but the foreground is something that I can do a lot about. So I've framed this shot up here to feature this lovely curving dune with obviously with the mountains in the background. Anyway, I'll show you the back of the camera and I'll explain. Okay, I know there's a lot of glare on this screen, but this is what I'm dealing with. So you can see there's the mountain range there. In the center of the frame are all of these lovely grasses, but this foreground is just completely full. I would say 35% of the frame is devoted to this beautiful little sandbar that you can see here. Anyway, I'm still quite a long way off the sun setting right now, and the problem is with this massive cloud that's just come in, none of that side light is hitting the mountain range now, so that's not really working like it was 15 minutes ago. So I'm not going to take this shot just yet. I'll wait patiently and hope that that cloud gets out of the shot or moves just enough that the sun can creep in.
The wind was getting worse and I was getting a bit twitchy about what the sand would do to the new lens and the camera. I mean, even my eyes were hurting. Warm glow actually made the black sand look more like normal sand. And then I took this shot, which is a little bit cooler, and I can't decide which one I like best, so please do me a favour and post a comment, let me know which you prefer and the reasons why. The next day I went from one extreme to another. The new lens seemed to be fine with the blowing sand of Vestrahorn, but how would it deal with a torrential downpour?
Even though I've got the brolly, I've been drying this off, putting it back in the bag, and I think I've taken it in and out about 6 times already when it just gets too bad with the sideways rain. But luckily right now it's just dropping, and this is mostly dry. It's dry on this side, A little bit soggy on that side and quite soggy on the lens. But I'm sure it's weather sealed. Oh, it's not, is it? All right, I think it's time to put it back in the bag.
But I couldn't put it back in the bag because the sky began to open up and add a little contrast to this beautiful scene.
All right, things have cleared almost enough for me to explain what my composition is. Well, I think it's enough. Let me just show you the back of the camera and explain what I'm trying to go for here. All right, so you should be able to see this huge waterfall over to the right, and then over to the left, you've got this canyon, which contains the other huge waterfall. It looks small from here because it's so far away. And of course, the peaks just above it with those moody clouds. They're both slightly off-center. The big one there is slightly off-center. The one in the distance is slightly off-center. And then this valley just carves through the frame into the bottom of the frame. And then I've got just a couple of little rock ledges. These guys here, this and this, just in my immediate foreground. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep these foreground elements, because one thing that I love about this scene that you can see right now is just all of that colour. There's just so much lush green colour. I love that. Anyway, if this test shot turns out to be any good, here's the shot.
I was actually surprised that I managed to capture this composition without having to focus stack. What you're looking at is just one frame at 20mm. Nice.
One sort of unintended usage of these magnetic filters. It doesn't matter which ones you get, they're all pretty much the same, but in this case I've got some Kase filters. When it's raining like this, and even with the brolly, this lens is just completely covered in smut. What I can do when I'm ready to take the shot, I can just pop off the filter, which is a CPL right now, or you can actually use the proper lens cap, take your shot, and then put it back on, which is so much quicker than fiddling around with a clicky lens cap.
So how did this lens perform in torrential rain? Well, let me give you my summary.
So, you know me, I don't really do gear reviews. Mainly because I just don't know what I'm talking about. You know, I just make pretty pictures. If you want to see proper gear reviews, just watch Gerald Undone. All I can really do is tell you how it performs in real life situations under quite challenging conditions. And it seemed to have no problem with the blowing sand and the torrential rain. The sharpness is superb, even when shooting handheld with image stabilization. Because of that, this was my go-to lens on that trip, and I would say I shot about 90% of my images on this lens, quite often handheld. But nothing is perfect, is it? So I've got to have something to complain about. Well, I've got just two gripes. The first one is that it is a little bit of a heavy lens, which it's gonna be. It's for a medium format camera system. So it's slightly heavier than something like a 16-35 on a full frame camera, but not by a lot. And then the final gripe that I've got is this. Hang on, I'll get it. I've done it once, I know it's possible. I'll get it. I'll get it. There you go. Oh, there you go. I've done it. I've finally done it.
Now, did I mention you can get your very own signed copy of my new book, Stories Within Stories by Gavin Hardcastle? No? Oh, well, there is a link in the description below. Oh, and look at all these absolute legends. Thanks for all your support so that I can keep making this content.